The 2024 NASCAR Cup Series regular season is finally over. While 16 drivers will continue competing for the Cup Series championship, Bubba Wallace is officially out of the running. Wallace failed to win a race this season and also did not manage to acquire enough points to become a part of the playoffs. This has brought some criticism from the 2311 team owners, Denny, Hamlin, and Michael Jordan, and could even result in Wallace getting fired from the team. This season has been difficult for Bubba Wallace, there's no doubt about that. However, his teammate Tyler Reddick, on the other hand, has had an impressive regular season, where he won the regular season championship. Reddick is also one of the favorites to win the Cup Series title. So with one driver leading the regular season and the other not even in the top 16, Jordan had mixed feelings about the outcome. Here's what he said. For Bubba, he's got to keep getting better. He's going to use these next races to try to get a win and do the best he can. But we can't stay complacent. We're going to keep getting better. After hearing this response, the interviewer told Jordan that on TV, the latter seemed terrified. This was followed up with a question asking how the NBA star felt now. "I'm still disappointed, obviously," said Jordan. Obviously, despite not qualifying for the playoffs, Bubba Wallace will continue driving until the final race in Phoenix. But what after that? Jordan mentioned that he is disappointed that Wallace was not able to get into the playoffs either. So could Bubba be on his way out of the team? Whether or not Bubba Wallace is on his way out of the team, NASCAR Off Track will be here to report on it. So hit that subscribe button and join a community filled with die-hard NASCAR fans. Bubba Wallace has been a part of the 2311 team since its inception in 2021. But since then, the team has grown and expanded into two charters, with Tyler Reddick piloting the number 45 car. During the first half of the 2024 season, Bubba Wallace's performances did not meet the team's expectations. However, in the second half, Wallace was able to provide some more consistent performances. In fact, in the very last race of the regular season, Wallace had a huge shot to win the race. He qualified on the pole on Saturday and had high hopes for the race. Here's what he said before the race. "Yeah, you look at us coming in and being on the bubble. 21 points out with a ton of pressure, and I think the pressure just switched. We're not here to mess around. I showed up with a more open and calmer demeanor, more free and relaxing demeanor, but at the same time, I don't want to be messed with. So it's a fine balance you've got to walk. Both cars just showing up with speed at Darlington for the Southern 500 is super cool. I've been close here I think once or twice in qualifying. So to finally pull it out, it's like, wow, we've got it." With all that being said, the elephant in the room, tomorrow is a whole different day, and I'm excited to see what tomorrow offers, he added. Wallace made it clear that he and the 2311 racing team were not here to mess around. He was so confident that he would be able to get into the playoffs. However, an incident in the race would prevent him from doing so. During the final stage of the Darlington race, Bubba Wallace lost the lead, but could still have qualified for the playoffs with a strong performance. But Josh Berry, who was a few cars behind, decided to make a risky move, where he moved between Hamlin and Reddick going into Turn 1. Going 3 wide at Turn 1 in Darlington is always a risky move. As a result, Berry lost control of his car and caused a pileup, which caught Bubba Wallace as well. After the race, Wallace had this to say. "We just got behind on adjustments," lamented Wallace. "We were back and forth on our Toyota Camry. Just a little too loose, a little too tight. And that caution with a couple laps on tires where we stayed out, I don't know if that was the deciding factor. But we just got so tight there and got back there in traffic and in a spot we hadn't been all day and got caught up in someone else's mess. It's unfortunate. I hate it for our guys. Hats off to the 14. I thought I did something yesterday. They one-upped us and showed up when it was game time. So that's pretty badass, so congrats to them. Man, just wasn't good enough for 16th this year. I hate that. It stinks saying that, but it wasn't for a lack of effort from all of us on the 23 car. Best of luck to the 45, Tyler Reddick, and hopefully a Toyota wins." After a disappointing performance this season, Wallace had to settle for 18th place on the table. But Wallace still has 10 more races this season where he could turn things around. Although it won't help his progress in the season, it could help prove to Hamlin and Jordan that he is worth keeping around. But even if 2311 Racing wants to get rid of Bubba Wallace, they have a contract that will end only after the 2025 season. Hamlin still seems to have some hope for Wallace after failing to qualify for the playoffs. Here's what he said. If they run next year like they've run the last 10-12 races, they're going to be in the playoffs, no sweat. So I think my message to them is, stay on the track that you're at, and sometimes you gotta walk before you run. Hamlin thinks that if Wallace is able to keep his positive momentum going, he could be in for a strong season next year. There's also a chance for 2311 Racing to have 3 charters next year. They have openly expressed interest in purchasing another charter for the 2025 season. However, Hamlin wants to wait until a new charter agreement is finalized between the teams in NASCAR. But if 2311 has another charter, Wallace will have more pressure to perform as his results will be compared to 2 drivers, including Reddick. Given that 2025 will be Bubba's final year of his contract with 2311 Racing, he will need to do everything possible to get into the playoffs and maybe even win the championship. His teammate Tyler Reddick, who also won the regular season championship, sympathized with Wallace. "It's tough, I've been in his spot. It's not fun to be that close and just miss it, man. It's tough to go back and look. You can pick apart the races each weekend. We gave up points here or there. It's a tough thing. For them, if they just go through the rest of this, focus on continuing to improve that consistency, they'll be better off for next year. At the end of the day, though, there's just some things you can't control, man. I feel like a lot of times this year, they've been right in the middle of stuff happening on the racetrack. A lot of times this year, I don't know how to explain it, when things have happened on the racetrack, I've missed it and been able to benefit from it. They have a great opportunity here over the rest of this year to reload and be ready to go for next time." It was completely mixed emotions for the team. On the one hand, you have a driver who just won the regular season title, but on the other, you have one who wasn't able to make it to the playoffs. This missed playoff spot for Wallace would have probably cost the team $1 million or so. There's no doubt that he was very close to getting that spot. Given that he was so close to getting into the playoffs, he will do everything possible to do so next year. But if he doesn't, he could be out of the team. But before all that, we now enter the most exciting period of the season. Whatever happened during the regular season doesn't matter much to the 16 drivers who will be racing for the Cup Series championship. Along with Tyler Reddick, we have Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin, who are favorites from the Joe Gibbs Racing team. We also have Kyle Larson from Hendrick Motorsports competing in the Chevrolet. But let's not cross off Ryan Blaney in the Penske. All these drivers will have a very good chance of taking the title home. Last year, we saw Blaney take home the title. Can he make it 2 in a row, or will the others have something to say about it? One driver who has achieved everything but the Cup Series title is Denny Hamlin. He will be desperate to add that to his resume. Who do you think will win the Cup Series title this year? Will it be someone who has won it before, or someone new? Post your thoughts in the comments section below.